So,
So I want to say, as always, thank you guys for saving me 3 hours of my life by not having to watch this movie and just listen to you talk about it. Appreciate it.
Birthday girl, come on, it's not even your birthday yet.
It's my birthday week. Calm down.
all right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris. I'm here with my wonderful co-host to talk about everything to do with culture, pop culture, entertainment, and whatever the hell else we feel like talking about. And first, in her birthday week, we are here to talk to Brooksy. How you doing, Brooks?
I'm doing great.
It's not
I'm
Monday.
using...
How are you doing? Good.
I know. It's Tuesday. It's one day closer to my birthday. No. No, everything's great. I apologize, Mike. I'm not using your fancy camera, but I just got a facial and my face is not looking really great. So
the purposeful SD quality.
Exactly.
I find that very funny. Okay. And of course, with us today is someone breaking their Mandalorian creed. Michael, how you doing, Mike? Taking your helmet off. What the hell's that about?
This is the way now.
This is the way now.
How's that anime quick beat coming along?
Look, I have about 30 ideas for
okay,
videos.
good. Next time you're on the toilet, whip out your phone, do 10 minutes, and send it.
Whoa.
Mike is coming in hot today.
Whoa.
Mike's asking for a puppet show or something.
Don't know where this is going.
And
I'm trying to get advertisers here.
All right, where this is going is over to Keith. How you doing, Keith?
Hey, what's goody?
Not very much.
You feel like he's Baby Yoda meditating when that scene.
I know, right?
He's like, he's got the
Communing.
force field. All right, and then of course, last but not least, we have our speedster, Chuck Yeager, Rep Chuck Yeager, I guess. And it's James. How you doing, James?
R.I.P. Also, Taco Tuesday. Shout out to young Serena for making those tacos. Appreciate it.
You're keeping things energized. Thank you, James. Thank you very much for keeping me energized. So today, we're gonna do some new stuff. I hear an echo of myself. Someone's got a speaker going. That's all right. We're gonna do news today. We're gonna talk about Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, HBO Max. We're gonna talk about all the people yelling about HBO Max and Warner Brothers and the maybe fallout of that. And then the rest of the time, we're going to backtrack in time. We're going to do a TeneT review first, and then we're going to do it before we do the TeneT review. And then somehow it's going to magically end up in the right spot.
Oh, so James will review the end of the movie towards the beginning, and I'll go from the beginning to the end.
That's
Pincer
a smart
movement.
one.
And pincer maneuver, right?
Pincer right in the beginning. All right. So we're going to start with Spider-Man 3 news. And the reason I want to start that is right now, through the magic of editing, Mike is going to find the movie The Professional, where the guy yells, "Everybody."
Everyone!
Remember? He's like, "Everyone!" When they ask him who they want in it.
Right.
And because apparently they've decided to take every Spider-Man character ever, every actor ever, and just shove them in this movie. And this seems to be...
Including Spider-Man from the Electric Company.
The Japanese Spider-Man too.
Morgan Freeman Spider-Man.
Yeah, Bollywood Spider-Man.
Peter Porker. So apparently,
huge dance number.
Kirsten Dunst and Ralph Molina.
Alfred Molina.
Emma Stone, I guess, as Gwen.
I don't think she hasn't been a official, but I think they're talking about it. But
okay,
it feels like they're packing this really, really full. And this isn't the only movie. So what's bugging me is not necessarily just this movie, but I'm seeing it with Doctor Strange. I'm seeing it with freaking The Mandalorian. Everybody's like taking these dead out of characters and they're shoving them in their show. And am I the only one bothered by this?
Hey man, if you have a good story and it works, it works. You know,
Yeah,
I don't think Sony could pull it off. To be honest with you, but
the only one that bugs me right now is the Spider-Man. I don't know how I feel about it yet. But
you know why it bugs you? Because it's Sony behind it, and Sony has no credit.
yeah,
So you don't
yeah.
trust. If it was Kevin Feige putting something together for this,
I would have more confidence.
Isn't this a combo effort between Sony and MCU?
but it's not. It's not. Marvel's
The la-
getting the rights to the character within the MCU and getting some merchandising money, but they don't get creativity rights.
Yeah, but I thought they were helping out. That's how they were able to make 2 decent billion-dollar
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, I gotta read the fine print. Sony still owns the script and the creativity of the character inside of the MCU. Whereas Marvel now gets a piece of the pie. It gets the continuity, having Spider-Man in the larger universe. But Kevin Feige doesn't dictate what happens to that character. He gives them, advisement on where it should land, where the MCU is going, where they want the character to go. But Sony still have their own version of Chris Terrio behind the programming.
Are we gonna get Morbius first?
That's all.
Yeah, this is a first.
Yeah. So we'll see how that one plays out too.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Morbius because it's just quietly sitting in the shadows, not doing anything right now.
Yeah, and
These are rated R movies too. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Spidey 3 won't be, but
No.
Morbius will probably be. And then there, the rumor mill back in a long time ago was that Venom was going to make an appearance in the multiverse Spider-Man movies. So,
all right, so
I haven't heard anything about that.
So I want you guys to make a prediction. Is this a pop-up there? You see them through like a portal to another realm, but they don't actually participate in the universe? Are they heavily featured a la Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi? Or are they complete misnomer? They're just a red herring. They're not even barely gonna flash their face in the background. Where do you think their level of, 3 Peter Parkers, or is it just like there's a poster of the other Peters?
Well, Chris and Mike, I know you guys both watched the CW DC crossover, the whatever it's called, Infinite Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Remember before that came out, they were telling you how they're going to have the Michael Keaton Batman, they're going to have all these different versions, and we watched it. In some cases, there was a very, very, very small cameo. In some cases, the characters like who plays the Batman voice, I keep forgetting his name.
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy. He actually had an involved role in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to do the same thing with Spider-Man. They're not going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield having extensive roles. They're probably going to be either a short cameo or small reference to the larger universe of Spider-Man. But I don't think they're going to play key plot points in that movie. I don't believe so.
If Tom Holland is hopping between universes, yeah, he'll stop in for a couple of minutes, right? And then
okay,
the next one.
So this isn't Spider-Verse, which is like, okay, so Gwen was like a real heavy presence, and so was Peter Parker. Right? You're thinking this is, hey, you have a conversation and then you leave them be, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel better about that. I really don't want a really. I think there's just too much going on right now, and it's, I don't know. All right, so we're gonna move forward, and because the other big news, we started getting some reviews for Wonder Woman 84, available December 25th on HBO Max and in the theaters. If you're willing to go, I've been trying to convince my family to rent an entire theater. You can do it for like $150 here.
That's actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Why would you not do that?
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Well, it is Christmas, so you have to convince people to go out on Christmas. I know
mean,
some
Don't people?
You don't have to see it Christmas Day. You can see it the day after.
I know we're working on it, but anyway, so the reviews look solid, and they all say pretty much the same thing. It's very hopeful, very, like the first movie. Everybody felt like very positive vibe coming out of the movie. Now I'm not seeing a lot of like Gal Gadot killed it and she is like the next superstar, but you're seeing good things about the other cast, the Kristen Wiig's or the Mandalorian. What's his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Yes, Pedro Pascal. You're seeing good things about their acting and their characters.
Wig.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. There's really not much to say other than, are you guys, any of you planning to go out and see it?
I might hit the drive-in. Sorry.
Drive-through. I'll take one Wonder Woman 84 and a side of fries, please.
Yeah, you bought 2 tickets at least for me and the little one, Pineapple's Gaming TV. Shout out YouTube. I don't think the women in my house are comfortable yet for that. I don't know. Maybe Serena. Definitely not my wife.
But honestly, if it's coming out on HBO Max, I'll just watch it at home first anyway. So.
Oh, but that's the thing. And we'll get to it a little bit later when we talk about TeneT. But I think this movie was meant, if you can go somewhere safe, obviously safety is number one, and watch the movie, it's best watched under the full theatrical
Maybe,
sound,
but I got a 65-inch 4K, display to watch it on. So, like, at what point?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid experience.
Yeah.
I don't.
You can have 120-inch 4K with Dolby speakers.
Yeah. So what's the difference? What's the difference then?
The large screen, and when you're sitting there looking at the expanse and IMAX quality level of movie with the 15-point sound system, which I know you don't have, it changes everything.
Yeah, but I'm not going to a theater though. I'm still not going to a theater this year.
Yeah, I think that's
the caveat is if it's safe, go for that option. You don't have that kind of level of safety.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't go if it's not safe. Safety first. We're still waiting. We're starting to see some rollout of vaccine. Apparently, William Shakespeare and somebody else got.
You're getting vaccines. We're not getting vaccines.
No, old people. Oh, we saw like the first 2 people on TV get a vaccine, and that's basically it so far.
Who was that?
William Shakespeare. Literally in England, a guy named William Shakespeare was the first guy to get the vaccine outside of the trials. So some positive news, but we've got a couple of months before any of it really gets a rolling.
He didn't realize that was still part of the trials.
Anyway, so this kind of rolls into an announcement by Warner Brothers and HBO that their basically entire 2021 first run set of movies is going to release on HBO Max for the first month. And then it's going to go back to the theater for a kind of a normal run. But they're going to give everybody a first shot to HBO Max. Now, the names here are big. So obviously Wonder Woman 84 is releasing at the end of the year. We've also got Suicide Squad 2, Matrix 4, The Little Things, which is a new Denzel Washington thriller action thing, Tom and Jerry, Godzilla versus Kong, In the Heights, which is Lin-Manuel Miranda. So that's a big that could definitely explode. That could definitely go big.
That was filmed on my block, and I am very excited to see it.
No thanks. I had it up the Heights.
I saw it on my block when I lived in the Heights. I also saw it in the theater, not in the theater, in the like actual theater, not the movie theater. Yeah, thank you.
See, you don't need to go watch it. You experience it every day.
You did.
For 15 years, I sure did.
Even during the COVID pandemic, she was living it.
So how was those dance-offs in the middle of the street with everybody? Is that exciting?
I will say when I saw the musical, it was a fairly accurate representation of the Heights. I mean, there's a lot of dancing that happens in the Heights. There's a lot of music that happens. Like, it is a very lively neighborhood.
And who put the crackhead on the corner?
I mean, there's always a crackhead on the corner,
But yeah, the musical you don't want is In the Suburbs. That's the one you definitely don't want. It'd be really boring. All right. Anyway, and then in Space Jam, we were talking about Space Jam before, and Dune. Now, I bring those up because they've gotten a lot of kickback from big names, big Hollywood names, of course. You're talking about Denis Villeneuve, who did Dune. What's his name, who did TeneT and Dark Knight?
Chris Nolan. What's his
Christopher
name?
Nolan. Yeah, sorry.
Some respect
I
to
know.
his name.
Christopher Nolan. I'm putting no respect on his name today. Don't worry. Christopher Nolan, and they're all basically saying this is a horrible move. Blah 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 blah. But
Why?
that's the question. Well, there's a difference between the money they expect to make when something hits a theater, than something
They're not
going
getting the pay
to
cuts that they're
TV.
used to getting.
So it's like they're totally fine with people dying if, like COVID spreads by all the theaters opening because they get money.
I don't think they're saying that. I don't think they're saying that,
No, but they actually are saying that, even though they're not actually saying those words.
This deal, hold on. Let me elaborate real quick. The deal right now, let's say Wonder Woman. Right now, it's the only one that's got a concrete deal on the table. They have a 1-year deal to have all these movies on the HBO Max platform and simultaneously in the movie theater. So what happens in 2022? Obviously they're going to realize that they're making, they meaning HBO Max to make a lot more money. So they're going to cut out the studios and cut into their pockets. By 2022, knock on wood, there's a vaccine. We're back to some sort of normalcy here. But unfortunately, the movie theaters, the momentum now has gone against them because of this whole year period of us, the pandemic, let's be safe, whatever. Even post-vaccine is we're all inoculated, knock on wood, by the end of next year. Now they've lost any traction on having the monopoly on having movies released through the theater, because now you got these streaming platforms that you're already giving them a chance during 2021 to showcase it, prove it. I'm not going to want to go out anymore, even with the vaccine, because Mike says he's got his 55-inch 4K TV. Instead of him and the family,
I think he said 65-inch, actually.
65-inch. Get in his car, parking, popcorn, and then the movie tickets for $15.99. You can do it at home. So that's the problem.
It's the experience. They got to offer something else than just a regular schmegular experience.
Other option, you're never going back, even post-pandemic.
Okay, all right. So what we have here, number one, is we should call out Notre Damus down here, Keith, for calling this all months ago.
This mother effer did call this.
Keith has been pretty on point for a lot of things, actually. We should all really pay attention to him.
I'm just listening to hear all my points regurgitated back. That's all I'm just listening for.
That's absolutely right.
But it's, like everything is based off the fact that human beings are creatures of habit. And like, once we're forced to have to do something for a little while, our minds make ourselves get comfortable with it, like, and it becomes then the norm. Like, dude, like, what do the movie studios who make the movies actually care about AMC? They don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't give a damn if the theater, they just care about their movie product. It has traditionally gone through the movie houses, but it doesn't have to. And I think that they only care about them in so much as, like, you were a conduit for movies. You were a conduit for our movies to get to the public. We've got a new conduit. I feel like we've got 10 more years of movie theaters. And like, for now, for you to get me to the actual movie theater, you're going to have to offer a much larger experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One more thing to add on what Keith is saying is the movie studios themselves cared about the release into the theaters because there's a percentage of cut that would be guaranteed back to the studios. So, for example, Avengers Endgame made $2.7 billion, box office. There's a percentage of that would be back to Marvel Studios, whether it's 50, 60%, whatever it is. You have to restructure this deal now with the Disney Pluses, the HBO Maxes, and those companies, which right now there's no structure.
It's business. You innovate. You like okay, that get you now. You need a new business model. Like like you're gonna recraft the same thing for their new relationship. Like it's not. Like okay, like how many subscriptions you get and what piece we get from that monetary. It just becomes something new, but it's the same underpinning. It's gonna be the same thing. Like but at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. Like they're not married to the actual movie theater. They just traditionally needed them as an outlet. Like now I don't need you for distribution of my movie. You didn't help me make it. Like, so I don't like, I'm not really indebted to you in so much as just like historically, but like, I'm not indebted to you. Like I'm your success. I found a way to be successful without you. You can go ahead and die. And that's really, I mean, it sounds harsh, but like, that's literally what they're saying. Even the movies being released in the movies and on HBO Max at the same time, like that's a slap in the face to the movie theaters.
Yeah. Well, and you got to look at which movies which movies actually were successful in the fact of going to the theater. Like the you were either a really low budget horror movie that made $100 million pretty much by only spending 15, right? And then that's success. Or you're a huge giant budget blockbuster that then rakes in $1 billion.
Yeah,
that's success. But if you're your average movie and they're like, oh my god, this barely made its budget back, do those really need theaters? Do they really?
Yeah. Chris, what you're cutting out there is you have the occasional Blair Witch Projects or Passion of the Christ or the first John Wick movie, where these were low budget movies that exploded in a box office. Mm-hmm. That all of a sudden you could create a whole franchise. Well, maybe not Passion of the Christ, but you can create a whole
this summer
franchise.
The Second Coming.
The Second Coming.
You guys know what I meant.
Like, Cat's been waiting for that part too.
We digress mightily.
Man, they keep putting that shit off, man. They're really in production hell.
I'm gonna put my mic hat on. Let's stick to the script, guys. No, you won't have the opportunity to have those little indie movies that just blow up, because if you're going by per budget and you're putting it on Hulu or you're putting it on Netflix or this demographics, you won't realize that huge explosion. You'll get clicks on it, but the financial aspects of it is not going anywhere.
Well, it kind of depends. Like, okay, are you willing as a company to take the guaranteed $30 million that Netflix is going to hand you and go, I know I made $15 million off of this, and I walk away and I go make another movie? Or do I want to take the chance of it flops, I made 7, I lost 7, and now I want to go make another movie, and maybe hopefully one of these 10 movies will hit it big. It's like rolling the dice. It's like, would you rather roll the dice or take the guaranteed win? A lot of these people. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, a lot of these companies will just take the guaranteed win, and maybe you'll get a Stranger Things, which can produce something else. And then, it was on streaming, but it was a huge hit. It produced multiple seasons, each budget bigger than the last. And then you're also getting, oh, hey, I can sell merchandise, and maybe I can do that thing that used to happen is I have a hit TV show and make a movie out of it. And then you go to the theaters with a serenity, and maybe something happens. I don't think you have to start in the theater.
I don't want to defend these auteurs or producers that are saying this is a terrible idea, but you take an example of the Joker movie, which some of us roasted, some of us enjoy, whatever. That's a movie that had a very low budget that performed way beyond expectations. You can't have that same impact on a straight streaming platform for a guaranteed 15 or 30 million. You just won't. And then these actors who are used to getting, the back end, Robert Downey Jr. for Marvel, Joaquin Phoenix, they're not getting that because you can't guarantee it anymore if you're going straight to streaming.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's something. It depends on how it streams. Like that. Like we're making assumptions here as to we're painting a very rigid picture on the whole thing. Like, what if it's pay-per-view style? You know what I'm saying? Then the money's still flowing. Everything can still get chopped up. Like it's just not.
That changes everything.
It's like you're being way too rigid about how you're seeing the pricing structure. How you're seeing, like, it's a new business model. All I'm saying is, like, this is a whole new framework. It's a whole new framework, and it's not. The physical movie theater is unnecessary for it. Everything else can be reformatted, like how the money works, how we now rate the success of a movie. All that stuff could change. All of that could change now.
And maybe, unfortunately, Robert Downey Jr.'s in the future don't make $30 million off of a film, and I'm not really gonna cry about it. You know, they're still gonna make.
But maybe you get more work because there's more films.
Right. Yes, there's smaller films.
Yeah.
And I don't think.
There's
go
more
ahead,
independent directors. There's more independent directors being able to be picked up by Netflix studios and Hulu studios, and Amazon, which definitely has more money than most all of these production houses.
And it is a fight for content with these companies. They are dying to be the one to say, we have the show you want to watch, and thus you're going to come over and spend money here. And I don't think you're going to completely kill off the theater business. There's going to be a business out there, and I personally think it's going to be funded by the big companies. I think they're going to be more integrated and more experience driven. Hey, like I said, I can go to the theater, supposedly rent it out for $150 for 20 people, and I'm sure they expect all of us to be buying popcorn and soda and candy and all that wonderful stuff,
and legalize weed in some places.
Right, medical here.
That's a movie theater experience I can buy into.
That's right. But I mean, that's worth the 2 hours of their day, I guess. If they have they have dozens of theaters that are I looked. They're all rented out. 90% of them are all rented. Like, it's not till after Christmas that I can even get one, and they're running about 12 or 13 that I saw hours per day, a different number of theaters.
I didn't know that. That.
And that's.
I'm surprised you guys aren't doing that.
Yeah, that's actually.
You're such a big. You're such a big movie family.
Up here in Bergen County, that's not an option. It's not an option in my county. You can't rent out the movie theater unless you're spending.
And the even better thing is, it's not one movie. You get to choose from a list of like 15 movies. Older movies.
I already looked, and a lot of the options aren't that good, but it's a lot more. The numbers is a lot more than what Chris was quoting for his area. Yeah, like there's $100 for an older run movie. So if you want to bring your whole family for a Christmas thing to watch A Wonderful Life, you can go sit in the theater with popcorn and nachos and all that crap and have a interesting viewing party for 20 people. Maybe you take your business friends out or something. I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do. I don't know.
Your business friends and acquaintances.
I'm not that high up in it.
Let's stop recording now, Mike. No.
Chris, you should find out how much it costs to advertise our podcast on the movie theater.
Holy shit.
That's actually interesting.
Why are we not thinking about that? Thank you, Mike.
You would think going to school for advertising, I would think of shit like that, but I don't. I'm too busy.
I like the way you think, Mike.
That's why you guys are here. You guys are the business here. I'm just here to chat.
So what you do when you go to the theater is just print out some Heroes Peak.
Just leave them on the
logos and leave them all over the place.
Like an old college party.
That's right.
You tape them under the seat so when people are looking for their. What is this?
Yeah.
All right. We've had this conversation. I don't want to ram it into the ground, but it's going to continue to come back, and it'll be interesting to see where theaters come out in this, where Hollywood comes out of this, and where we get streaming. And I think we'll get a lot more information when we see how popular. If one of these movies is able to take off even though it starts on streaming, it'll make a big difference. Like if they still make $250 million, $500 million
It
on,
could be Dune. I think Dune's gonna be that movie.
I think it's going to be really heavy to get into, and it's going to make money, but I don't think it's going
There's
to
a
be a
huge young populace that's all about this movie right now.
I think you're gonna have
That's
to.
for kids, Chris.
I think you're gonna have
Why?
to look at success differently in this medium.
Yeah. I think
All
the
right.
demographics are different too.
It's not
That's
Those who are
it's
risky
not a
want to go to
pure-
movie theaters.
yeah, it's not a pure dollars, unless of course like it is gonna be kind of pay-per-viewy and you're paying for the movie. That's different. You can definitely like attribute definite direct dollars to the movie sales, but like if it's like new members, like how many new members does it pull, or this, that, and the other, then that's something different.
All right. So we are going to move on to our next topic, which is TeneT. TeneT.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
TeneT?
Trash.
TeneT or TeneT? TeneT.
You
Just
said
say
it
it backwards. It's better.
I feel like I'm adding an extra N in there. TeneT.
Oh yeah, Tenet's gonna. I mean, Tenet. Dune isn't coming out until December 18th. Yeah, it'll make. Yeah, that's
All
the
right.
one.
So TeneT actually released earlier to the theaters this year, and it is the 2020 action sci-fi movie directed and written by Christopher Nolan, and it goes something like this. Armed with only one word, TeneT, and fighting for the survival of the entire world, a protagonist journeys through a twilight of international espionage on a mission that will unfold in something beyond real time.
So before we begin,
Mm-hmm.
we are about to spoil the hell out of this movie. If you still haven't seen it and want our spoiler-free review, James and I did a quick peek when the movie came out. So take a look. It's on YouTube. If you're not into the spoilers yet. I had a big fail where I tried to do the camera upside down. Didn't work out so well. So
It's not as bad as my quick peek in the movie theater itself. That was terrible.
yeah, some hilarious
Quite
time.
illegal, no?
All right. So TeneT. What do I say? I actually sat down and I started going through the movie because I watched it last night. Okay. And I was texting you guys while I was watching it. And I was about halfway through, I really felt like I had been sitting there for twice as long. And I want to say this, like Christopher Nolan is a talented guy. He's a really smart guy, and I think he's trying to take these really complex ideas and make them digestible, movie-wise, entertaining. And sometimes that's like a very high hurdle to reach. And we can talk about whether we think he was successful or not here. Let's start with this. The way I want to do this. Let's talk about the opening action scene of TeneT. We're going to do it that way. Okay? What did you guys think? It was very straight up James Bondy, incursion, terrorists, bombs, and one little hint of what was going to come into the future. What did you guys think of that? How did it work?
That's the one part of the movie to me is a real downturn. Because I saw it again. I was lucky enough to go in the movie theater to see it in the large IMAX screen with the 15.1 surround sound. And that movie, and then again seeing it on TV, same issue, but even worse on my TV, was the sound editing and mixing was terrible. Like the gun ricochet and the music that was blasting overpowered the dialogue and overpowered a lot of the things that you're supposed to focus on at the beginning of that movie. And I had the same, if you go back to the quick peek, ladies and gentlemen, I had the same negative criticism about the movie was in the beginning part was that action sequence. And it's even worse watching it on TV for me. Seeing it the second time around, I had the same issues, but worse. Not his best directing and sound editing and mixing at all. That opening sequence, in my opinion.
Oh no, he's in the upside down. Keith,
Speaking
are
of
you okay?
And,
Oh boy.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
one to talk about great sound editing and mixing.
hey, we don't have Christopher Nolan's budget. Come on.
That's true. That's true. If we had the budget, we might be better.
Yeah, so throughout this movie, I also had a problem with the sound. Like visually, it was gorgeous, you know, and the score sometimes was overpowering, like I had mentioned in our other video. And yeah, and basically some of the sound editing was just too weird, but it was great to look at for sure.
Yeah, I think he was trying to find that like Inception sound, that like
Yeah.
that just
Too
it
much.
makes you feel, oh, okay, so this, that sound I now relate to that dream sequence, that raw.
Yeah, see, he hit it for Inception, he had it, and for Dark Knight, he had it. But I don't think it worked this time.
Yeah, it was similar. It was slightly different. It's like he sits there with a little fader and goes, maybe.
Yeah. It's like
Oh,
Interstellar, but worse. Because Interstellar had some of the same problems too. You could start seeing that in that movie, but it was worse, much, much worse than Interstellar.
Yeah.
All right. So the opening action scene was fine, but there was definitely no clarity to it. It was definitely this is all over the place. You're supposed to kind of be following him. You assume he's the good guy, but he's working with some guys are trying to kill him. Some guys aren't. You can't tell the difference. I think it was purposely a little confusing, but it just didn't make for it. It made me just like kind of shut off a little bit. Like, okay, cool. I'll watch people get beat up and shot and tossed and run and jump, and maybe they'll save the bombs or don't, whatever. But it just didn't make me like follow along any more than just, okay, oh, this is where we are right now. All right. So
What about Keith? Hold on, I'm gonna get Keith some.
oh, sorry, Keith, go ahead.
I get the feeling from it, like kind of needed to see it in the theater. On the I got the feeling like I didn't have the appropriate sound set up to appreciate. I guess like it's meant to be surround sound, I think, and like
Yeah, it's definitely not a
because,
movie
like-
to watch on your phone.
yeah, because it wasn't capturing me. Like
Mm.
it felt longer than it was. Like the science of the movie was kind of messing with me throughout the movie.
Well, the one thing for me, sorry to cut you off real quick. The one thing for me was with the sound, I couldn't hear a lot of the dialogue,
Yes.
so I couldn't really understand what the hell they were saying.
We were talking about in the beginning. Yeah, and
I don't
definitely
know
at the
if you
beginning of the movie. It was terrible.
If
I
you
guess
had
that's
that issue too, Keith, I don't know.
That's the
What?
difference between watching it at home and in the theater. I could sit there and go, okay, volume up, volume
Right.
down.
Well, I
Volume up,
turn on the
volume down.
captions.
Subtitles. You could do subtitles at home. Can't do that in the movie theater.
Right. So
yeah, but I feel like the theater, you probably like watching it in an IMAX. It probably was designed to
Right.
like needed the full complement of everything.
Again, I saw it in that theater, and I'm telling you, it was still a failure. It was still terrible. That's the first thing I said when I got out of the movie theater. It was like, yo, the sound mixing editing was not crisp in this movie.
It was even worse for me at the drive-in because all I had was the car audio, right? So
Oh, that's even worse. Like
Yeah.
the AM, FM.
that's why I'm telling you.
It got better in the second half of the movie.
Yeah,
But
but that's what I'm saying. Like at the drive-in, the screen is humongous and it was gorgeous to look at, but like I couldn't understand half of what was going on with the sound. So
All right, so our protagonist gets captured, played by. Let me look. I have this open here. John David Washington. John David Washington.
from Black
He did-
Klansman.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be
Denzel's
a little
son.
more convincing.
He was fine. Like I just didn't. I felt I didn't feel anything like huge towards him. I didn't feel like any great emotional stakes with him.
Something that Mike and I talked about on our quick peek again, ladies and gentlemen, was the fact that we give Tom Cruise a lot of flexibility as a short action hero and believability.
Camera angles. It's all camera angles.
The point is overhyped because his female co-leads are always filmed at an angle, even the male co-leads, where they're almost an equal footing. It was purposely shown that he is a foot and a half shorter than everyone else that he was up against, which I respected, being a short African-American male myself. I respected the fact that Christopher Nolan said, listen, you're going to be my lead in this movie, but we're not going to cut corners for you. We're going to have you against this 6'5" tall, buxom Swedish actress against these, Euro thugs and whatnot. You're going to...
I wouldn't call her buxom, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, she wasn't buxom. Yeah, you're right. Lanky.
Lanky.
Slim.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson
Anyway.
is pretty tall too, so.
Svelte.
Yeah, but I never felt like he was out of his league. It wasn't like he was not like he's not like a big guy, wide or anything like that. But I never looked at it like, even when he was in that kitchen scene, like it didn't feel like, oh, like, so this little teenager is gonna take out these big guys. It didn't feel like that. He felt fine in the role.
Agreed.
All right. So next, after he gets captured, tortured, whatever, he wakes up. So this is now where we start the science bit. So he gets told about he is dead. He's officially dead in the world. He doesn't exist. And that there's this word, TeneT. It's just a word.
And they were testing him.
Yeah, it was a big test or something, which it didn't really change anything about what happened. It was weird. Like, not everybody passes the test because you killed yourself. Like, okay, that seems like a stupid, really bad test.
That's a bad test. Like, horribly.
So, yeah, so he's now part of this underground, non-existent group of people, which this was weird for me, is how much the number of people who participated in this underground group got really, really big. So here is where we learn about TeneT. It's our first explanation of the science. And I thought this was fine. Like, weird that they made him live in a tube on the ocean, and we sat and watched him for like 10 minutes for whatever reason. That was weird. But once we got past that and he meets the first scientist and she shows him the backwards bullet, that was kind of neat. That was kind of the first introduction to, hey, this is the hook to this movie. The whole things, entropy, whatever, science crap. Things going back.
Entropy. It's not science crap. It's entropy.
It's movie science crap for me. Whatever.
They look cool though. All the special effects throughout the whole movie look great. So no,
everything was smooth. Yeah. Nothing felt jumpy when they did it.
To a extreme liberty of.
Yeah, but you have to, like, this is a technology that doesn't exist, so you obviously have
but like the story of it, I couldn't get past certain things about it. It just didn't make sense. Like, it just.
Yeah, in a movie,
we'll get there.
In a movie,
manipulated. Yeah.
In a movie, the story of the science is more important than the science, which is why we accept a lightsaber that can exist more than the backwards bullet.
But the science of the lightsaber isn't part of the story, though. Like,
right. We just accept
the science of this is part of the story.
That's a good point.
The science of this is part of the story, and it's just it didn't convince me, like the science that they tried to create around it. It just didn't convince me. Like,
what I found weird in the explanation here was she was basically saying you have to act like you dropped it and it will kind of come back to you, right? That was the whole thing.
Exactly.
But it's not like
I would have had to have had it in my hand while she was talking or something for me to have dropped it. Like, it just it was fucking with me. Like it was definitely irking me. Like those little things. Like it was irking me. Like
So
like,
so
Were
there's
you
this,
high when you saw it?
no, not in
That's the
particular.
problem. You got to
And
see
that
it
is the
high.
problem.
so for
I'll
me
go back
like
in.
so for me the science is the normal science is action reaction. So it falls because I had it in my hand and I dropped it. It comes back if it goes backwards because I already did it and now it's going to come back. But there was no action reaction. It was
But what you guys failed to remember is all of these metals were irradiated materials that was being brought back.
so what is that? What does that help
So
here?
the irradiated metals have to do with the fact that they operate in reverse of the time flow. There's a sequence where they actually explain that, and I forgot what point in the movie it was.
It's later on. We'll get there. But this is the right. But this is the initial.
I get to explaining it, but it's too little, too late, and it's not enough.
Yeah. So in this part, it was a pretty basic. This is how things are going to function in this world explanation. You're going to be able to make things go backwards, even though they never went forward, which is fucking with me.
That's what it is. Like that right there. It's like it didn't even go forward. Like how can I go backward? Like it didn't even go forward yet. Like you
right. So anyway, that's the explanation. I get it. You can basically pull a bullet back into your gun, I guess. That's fine. Whatever. I was very willing to take that and run with the world.
Good, because you have to at that point. You have no
right.
choice.
That's it. That's it. And I thought that was good. I'm like, okay, so I've had an action scene. He's now a mysterious stranger, X-Files or whatever, super spy. And now I know how the mechanics of the world work. Let's go. But what happens for the next hour and a half is an extended, very boring movie into itself.
That's the part that I didn't like, was that whole story about the dude and his wife and
all right,
and everything around that.
Cares. Like I don't care.
So I've made a little basic list of what happens here. So after he gets the explanation, the whole idea he has is to follow the metals to find out where they come from, right? So that's what
World War III. Yes.
Yeah, that's what his goal is. He's like, I'll just follow where these come from, and then I can find it. So we have to go to India. And so we go to India. He has to get into that high rise. He meets Batman.
Robert Pattinson.
Right? And they reverse bungee jump, which I thought was going to be a cool time thing, but it wasn't. It was just like they were launched. So they bungee jump to the top of this tower, and a little like, you think it's the husband, but it's actually the wife, and she's the arms dealer. So that was fine.
That's
the acting. What do you guys think of the acting so far? What did you think of our protagonist? What did you think of Batman? What did you think of our arms dealer?
Please don't call him Batman. Call him
it looked like
Sparkly Vampire.
He was auditioning for Bruce Wayne role. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, but he's still Sparkly Vampire, so just call him that.
Sparkly Vampire.
All right. So what did you guys think of Sparkly Vampire?
I thought he was fine. Yeah, it was a good. I think
everybody was fine.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not alone.
If this was a prequel to Batman, I say he's going to make a fine Bruce Wayne. It'll be all right.
Yeah, I agree.
This is very much by the book.
I can tell. And on a quick peek, I don't know if we're there yet, but Kenneth Branagh, who plays the main villain, is by far he had the best acting role in this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, they gave him a lot more space to run with the role.
He's a traditional Shakespeare guy, right? So
that dude, he acted the hell out of his role.
But Washington didn't feel like he was putting a lot of emotion. They weren't giving him a lot of emotional.
He didn't have his dad's chutzpah.
And I don't feel like I really connected to him.
Yeah, there's like a charisma that his dad has that he doesn't
have.
Right.
Any role his dad's ever done, action, drama, whatever, you connect to almost like within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And even Pattinson felt, I mean, like you said, he's got that kind of Bruce Wayne-y down, but like they never went anywhere up or down emotionally with it. He was never scared of something.
Right.
never thought something bad was gonna happen. He was just like, I've been through.
But the question is, do you chalk that up to because he already knows everything that's going to happen, so it's predictable to him, so there's no shock. So why would he bother showing emotion?
No, he doesn't know anything is gonna
He
happen.
doesn't know.
He's living his life at that moment. He doesn't know he knows what's gonna happen once he's in it's like the timeline in the fucking Endgame movie. The timeline starts in the future and then comes back and ends in the past. So his past, I should say, our past is his future. He doesn't know what's gonna happen in our past because he's living it in his own
But that's his future.
Correct.
James, I just need to let you know that you really connected endgames for me just now. So thank you for doing that.
What? Wow. All right.
All right. So next,
been trying to figure that out.
So next, he gets sent to see Alfred Pennyworth.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Sir Michael.
Michael Caine. So Michael Caine tells him he's got to pretend to be a billionaire and he needs a better suit. That's basically. I don't know this scene.
Can't wear Brooks Brothers.
Right. This scene was like a little comedy bit in the middle. It really all it felt like. It's one of those slow down scenes. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. It's a setup to what he does next, which is this is when he meets the art dealer, who is the wife of Kenneth Branagh's character. What's her name?
She's incredibly tall, though.
Is it Clemence Posey?
What is her name?
Trying to look it up. IMDb has terrible
She's
pictures.
probably the second best actor.
Yeah, I think she had a lot more.
Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay, thank you very much. I hate you.
Wow, she's 6'3". Yeah.
I hate you, IMDb, and your casting. All right. So anyway.
Oh, she played Guardians too. What's her name?
I know who she is.
Oh, as the golden lady.
That's right.
So anyway, yes, she had a lot more emotional range to work with, also with her thing, but she really played a lot of damsel in distress here. Like it gave Washington a person to save. Like he didn't try to save.
Yeah, but that wasn't believable though. That chemistry wasn't good.
No,
at
there
all.
was no chemistry there. I'm sorry.
This movie was all acting.
It was all and a lot of these scenes, like this whole middle section, I know there's like a little action here and there, them climbing up the wall or him fighting in the kitchen, but everything else was like set up, sit down, talk about the what's gonna happen or what has happened, talk about the plot me along, move
discuss
on to the
in committee. Yeah,
right. Definitely discuss in committee. So he hears about the wife's her ordeal with the whole painting and being blackmailed, and it seems like a very extensive setup that I really wasn't catching on when I was first watching it. And I was like, oh yeah, there was a painting thing that they had set up. So very weird. And okay, the whole airport scene I feel like could have been completely cut out of this movie. And this was a very long set piece of him wanting to go in, figure out this whole Freeport thing. I think Nolan wanted to tell me about ways rich people get away with not paying taxes and stuff, because there was this whole section where she explained it to the protagonist and then he explained it to Sparkly Guy, and it was just like, why am I being explained this whole Freeport tax evasion airport thing? Why is this here?
Yeah, but you know what? I would say that in the beginning, up until you see how it connects later on in the movie. Because when they go back to do their version of a time heist, they're going back, and you see the events that occurred originally, how it connected to what they're trying to do later on in the timeline. I thought that was a very creative way of a plot-driven device.
it was a creative device, but it felt completely disconnected for me because like in the beginning, the opening sequence, he discovers this little thing. Then there's the car chase where again they have the device that they took and whatever. And then the end, they're trying to blow up the device and hide it. And then there's this art heist in the airport, which feels completely disconnected besides showing you some cool reverse time fighting.
See, you do a lot of different plot points that happen, in different time orders. If you remember,
Welcome to Time.
That movie, the car heist happens when they're trying the algorithm. That's what it's called. Call it the Tesseract for Endgame and Infinity War people. So originally, he was trying to keep Kenneth Branagh's character from getting it. He lost it. Then he came up with another way of getting it back, much like Endgame, right? They're gonna do this whole go through the turnstile. That part is to me where the science starts going off the rails. Like this turnstile now gives you the ability to do entropy, not just yourself, but any vehicle that you're with, the weapons. That's when it started getting a little hokey.
This is what I'm saying. Like, where is the line? Like,
what he goes back to the turnstile, and he goes back to the event a week later in the airport. So again, I'm giving Christopher Nolan some credit here. He's trying to connect the events in the movie to what that it already has happened. Everything we're watching has happened already.
I get that, but it just feels like this whole section just feels unnecessary to what a tighter hour and 45-minute plot-driven action heist with time travel movie could be.
You know what it was? The whole hour with his wife and the husband just bored you to the point by the time we got to the scene, just like, oh, already.
Well, we're in for another giant explanation set piece here after the whole airport scene is learning about that now they can make whole groups of people move. And I'm like, wait a minute. So it's not just okay.
Yeah, I could defend that.
You have this cool little bullet time thing, and you have we can get you to figure out how to move this backwards and what's going on. And now they can just send whole armies back in time.
Artillery and weapons, yeah.
But then no, it's not that they can send them back in time. They can send them backwards through time. Yeah.
But
worse.
If you can't,
like, there was just so much stuff wrong with
like they're on a giant freighter ship.
As this movie was, there's probably more that's left on the cutting room floor, and unfortunately, he cut the wrong parts of the movie.
I mean, they're in. Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
I hope. I really do, because like it's the whole time I'm looking at, I'm like, well, maybe it comes up differently on the big screen, and you guys pretty much just debunked that. It's boring, bro. Like it's not.
Yeah. Do you remember the whole section where he goes to the Mediterranean to actually make the deal with Kenneth Branagh, right? And then there's this whole they're sailing, they're on catamaran, and she tries to kill him. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
The whole scene.
I'm with you there.
When he's on the cargo ship the second time and he's doing pull-ups, like he's getting his shape for God knows what.
Yeah, because they have a whole cargo ship of an entire army moving backwards through time. And we're sitting there, and there's like a 30-second shot of just watching the ship go backwards through the water.
Right.
But
before we bore Keith anymore, what about the third act actually?
Hang on, guys. Yeah. I want to touch on something. Did we even mention, I don't think we did, the motivation behind the villain, why he wants to use this device? We didn't even talk about that.
Well, we don't learn about that to the third act. So let's go right into the third act. And you'll talk about, Mike, you give us his straight up motivation.
Yeah, from what I understand, I'll give it to you.
Okay, go ahead. Give us the motivation. We finally learn what happened.
Yeah, so we find out that Kenneth Branagh is, and if I remember right, it has to do with climate change.
No.
Was it? Okay, remind me then, because
he wanted to.
He's terminally ill. He's
No, I
terminally-
know. No. He's terminally ill, but he wants to rewind the world.
No. Remember what he said to his wife, if I can't have you, nobody can. That
Okay.
was
He wants to
basically
destroy the world. He's not
that's his
rewinding the
plot
world.
point.
Yeah.
That's
Destroy the world.
if
Yeah.
he can't live in the world, nobody can.
Yes.
That's his entire motivation right there. He's selfish.
He's selfish. He's not like Thanos.
Right.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Okay. That I think the whole setup with his wife was basically to get him to say that line out loud.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No.
If
Okay. You know what the climate change thing was? That's why the scientists developed the machine
Yes.
to go back and fix climate change. That's what
Climate
it was.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah, because someone at some point says something about the rivers, and I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
So, okay, let me say something I hate that happens in these movies is a otherwise professional agent of some kind hides in a room and doesn't closes the door behind, does not close the door behind them, and then they get caught, and it makes me very angry every time I watch it. He's trying to see what Kenneth Branagh's doing, and he sneaks into a room on the ship and he doesn't close the door behind him, and immediately he gets hit on the back of the head and caught. And I'm like, don't
Why
do this.
wouldn't you close the door?
These are professionals. Please let them act like a professional. That's it. That's all I want. They just close the door behind you.
I agree.
What's your final grade?
Wait.
Okay. So we get to the third act, and
Okay, what did you guys think of the big giant set piece, which is two faceless armies going one going forward, one going backwards, but you can't tell.
I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed that action sequence for the sheer
yeah,
spectacle.
so did I.
This is probably the one thing that you should have seen in a movie theater, because when I watched it on a TV and I was telling Serena, this is it, wake up, like she was on her phone most of the time. And then she looked up only at the Robert Pattinson scenes, and then she was like,
See, I was the opposite. I thought it was freaking boring as hell because I could not tell the good guys from the bad guys. I could not tell.
red and brown, and the ones who weren't wearing anything were the bad guys.
I could not tell from the action point who was shooting at who was
You
where.
watch TV. This is where you need the large screen IMAX.
It felt worse than, the 1,000 unnamed robots being beat up by the Avengers. It was just like
Age of Ultra.
it was just like, what's going on? At least put the other guys in. Make one set in white and one set in black, or one set in blue and one set in red. Give me some big visual cues here instead of everybody in black armor, and then maybe I'll see a little red armband on one guy. It was boring. It didn't drive me.
All right, we're at impasse here, man. I already know where this is
No,
going.
it's fine. All right. So everybody, what is your final grade for TeneT? TeneT.
So for me, it could have been directed a little better. Sound editing could have been done way better. Visually, it was great. The acting I thought was fine. So for me, it's probably going to be C+, B-, somewhere around there.
I'm with Mike. My first viewing, I think I gave it a B-, if I remember correctly. Watching it the second time, I gave it a C+, B-.
Keith, what do you think?
I'm right. I'm right in there. I see.
Wow.
I was actually gonna give it a C+.
What the fuck? All this argument between us, we're right around the same fucking.
So,
Well,
the
it
issue is
depends.
we have different problems with the film, right? Basically.
Yeah, it depends which thing stuck out to you as good and versus bad.
Yeah.
Like I thought the characterizations were fine. Everything was fine. All of that was fine. The story was interesting. I just think Nolan felt such a chub for his science that it just kept trying to tell you more and more and more and more.
Yeah, just
Like-
it
like,
wasn't
okay.
itself.
Yo, dude, I get it. It's there. Just give me an entertaining story. And I thought most of it was entertaining. Yes, I didn't think the end battle was as huge and great, but I don't like it was worth the watch. I don't hate that I watched the movie.
It would have been like if Endgame had spent 40 minutes trying to explain how the quantum tunnel worked, you know?
Yeah, they had a couple of funny sequences, they had a couple of accidents, and then they said, hey, it's not like it's then they of course they said something about Back to the Future. No, it's not like that. But that was it.
On that, Brooks, remember that?
She's like, I am not paying attention. All right. So
I want to say, as always, thank you guys for saving me 3 hours of my life by not having to watch this movie and just listen to you talk about it. Appreciate it.
If that's what we can do for everybody.
She got the Cliff Notes version.
All right. Somehow we all ended up at C+ for TeneT. If you guys have any thoughts on it, just send them our way. Tell us how right or wrong we are.
Hold on, Brooks. You're gonna go to a party or some sort of gathering that's socially safe, and somebody's gonna bring up the topic of this movie. You're like, oh yeah, that movie. Listen, the sound editing. We're going to say all our comments to sound like she watched the movie.
I may actually do that. Thank you. Yeah, although LA is totally shut down right now, so there is no safe social gathering anything.
Yeah, be careful.
Oh, it's totally shut down? Nice.
Totally shut down. Everything's down. Yeah. Nice. Everything's closed.
Be safe.
Yeah, be careful.
Try to enjoy your birthday as best as possible.
Thanks, guys.
And to end our show, I'm trying to end the show on a little question here. We are coming into the Christmas season. I know it's the holiday season. I know there's lots of other holidays, but Christmas is the holiday that capitalism built. And so my question is around that.
Sorry, my war on Christmas starts in 2 days, so.
Okay, so today, driving my son's girlfriend home, we saw, those blow up things. Now in the suburbs, we have ton of inflatables as the new Christmas decoration. Yeah. And we saw 2 inflatable Christmas trees, which I thought is the most ridiculous idea to put outside, is spend your electricity to have a tree for Christmas outside. But what is your guys' favorite holiday Christmas? What's your favorite decoration? Like, do you like to make homemade decorations? Do you like to put the tree up? Do you like having the cards out, candles, maybe giant, those giant light displays? What's your favorite Christmas decoration? Do you guys have one?
No, I'm not a Christmas fan.
Oh.
Me neither. I'm a Grinch. Fuck Christmas.
But I know this Saturday I got to put something up. I got to put the little reindeer lights up. I got to do some stuff because the rest of my neighborhood block is like ABC light show.
Peer pressure.
This is what the suburbs do to you.
Like my wife just came and put a wreath in one of our front windows, and I'm like, that's not going to cut it.
I guess it's the difference between growing up in the suburbs.
That's probably it, because I didn't grow up in the suburbs.
For me, it's the tree. Like the tree, putting up the tree and decorating a tree is good for me.
Yeah. Did you do it as like your whole family get together and do it?
Yeah, whoever's around. Yeah, they'll come by.
Did you do it when you were young, Mike? Were you doing the whole tree thing when you were young too?
Yeah. My mom used to break out the tree every Christmas. So.
Yeah, I never did that stuff. Yeah. Keith, you did that stuff?
Yeah, when I was little, my mom, I never was into it. Actually, I don't even know why, but I was never really into it, even as a kid.
I still look back, and when I was about 6 and under, and we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and they used to tell me Santa dropped off gifts, and I fell for that shit. Yeah,
for real.
I'm like, we don't have a chimney, first of all.
Yeah, no, that's what I was like.
The gas.
How the hell did that work? So
Santa is not coming to the projects.
Wow, now I feel just like an asshole.
Coming down the fire escape.
You should. You should.
I love putting up Christmas decorations. That shit is so good. I love lights on houses. And just unnecessarily.
I'm gonna hire you, Chris, to
love
come
lights
do it for me.
Hey, my son has been doing it for the last 5 years. This is great. I don't even have to get up on the ladder anymore. He gets up and puts lights up.
So for me, the great thing on Christmas Day, especially up here, it's usually snowing or there's snow on the ground, and everything's closed. And you go outside, it's really calm and quiet. It's
great.
Yeah,
Because he lives by the North Pole.
right. Santa's asleep.
Because Santa's out delivering packages.
No, he's done by then. He's knocked out cold. So,
All right. Well, now that I feel like the asshole, we're gonna end the show.
No, nothing wrong with that. That's
oh, you're fine. It's
No. I was just surprised. I was like, because blow up things are just the hot thing, and you always go by that one house that has too many. That has
well,
like
you know what I noticed. You know what
35 blow up things on their
I
front lawn.
noticed? The projector lights this year and last year, I think too.
Yeah, they started like a year or two ago, and you just get because of the swirl. Some are nice. Like
there's audio ones here too, of like recordings and stuff.
The audio projecting lights.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
The arguing Christmas trees was funny.
Have you seen the ones that dance and like all the lights are connected and they go through like a whole shtick? I love like if I had the cash, that shit would be on my house. I'm telling you, I would hire someone. That shit, my house would be talking and like dancing.
Chris is officially a Griswold.
Absolutely, I would be a Griswold all the time, man. I love that. I tried to convince my wife if I was like, if I could like get LEDs that change color, can I just leave them up all year? Because then like I would be like, okay, Halloween purple, yeah.
So
New Year's blue.
I'm gonna go outside.
When I lived,
okay.
when I lived in Indiana, I was in that subdivision. There was a homeowners association, and I had Christmas lights up. And then come April, they were sending me letters to take them down.
Come April.
So I wrote them back and I said, "I'm sorry, but why are you assuming that these are for Christmas? I'm not even Christian." So who are you to tell me why and when I can put up lights to celebrate my holidays? And they left me alone after that. So
Nice.
Yeah, be one of those guys. Yeah, let's not.
You probably scared the white people.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like it.
You were in the council meetings. Whenever you were there, they were talking about you.
yeah.
That's why you say Christmas is Christmas is a capitalist holiday now. It is no longer anything else.
Yeah.
All right.
It always was,
All
man.
capitalist holidays. Christmas, Valentine's Day.
That's right.
Valentine's Day is the most corporate of corporate holidays. That's not even a real holiday. They totally made it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give one last for decoration. I'm gonna give a shout out to my brother. When there was a time when it was only guys living in the house, my dad, my brother, and I went over to the house and I was like, oh, that Christmas tree is really nice. It's like silver, like all silver decorations. And I got a little closer and it was all Coors cans and Coors bottle tops.
That's nice. That's
And it was from a distance, you're like, hey, that's really nice. And then you get a little closer and you realize, oh, okay, so this is a single guy.
Single dude, no kids.
Like, oh, this is a cry for help.
Oh, man.
It's not the beautiful spectacle that I thought.
All right, so that's it for tonight. Oh, there's the
Shout out
hiccups.
to Phil, one of our loyal subscribers, Phil.
Okay, everybody, follow us at social media at The Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our videos. Share and let people know. And back to you, Chris.
All right. Oh, I almost got through the whole show without these hiccups, so I'm going to close out quick. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Ugh.